responsive overstock. What's up everyone? Welcome back to the channel and another video. So for today, I'm actually doing my first performance mod on the GT. We are going to install a CORSA cold air intake. And the reason why I chose the specific kind that I went with is because it does not require a tune to install. It's also 50 state and emissions legal, which is also a bonus. So the main reason why I went with that also is because it's going to get back at least the 10 horsepower that is lost in the 2022 and 2023 Mustang GTs. Because as you know, obviously because of the EPA, they reduced the horsepower by 10 from 460 to 450 for the 2022 and 2023 years. The CORSA cold air intake does not require a tune to install because it is the same diameter math size as the factory OEM cold air intakes. So, and a bonus to that also as well, it's going to remove the sound tube. So I'll show you how to get back there and get that off. It's super easy, but the hardest part of the whole install is getting your hand back there to remove. So that's it. So we're going to get the cold air intake. I've opened the box. I haven't taken any of the stuff out yet. So let's take everything out and I'll show you what I got. All right, so this box came in here a couple days ago. I just haven't had the chance to unbox everything. Now, the kind of intake I went with, they have a few options. So they have an open air option and they have a closed air option. I have the closed air. Now, you unscrew this and that comes off and you can actually, it's like a see-through plexiglass. I went with the closed option to keep the IET temps down as much as possible because obviously in Texas this time of year and in the summertime it obviously gets like super hot. So to keep the temps down as much as possible, that's the main reason why I went with that option right there. So now I went with the non-carbon fiber option. So I went with the non-carbon fiber option on the tube here for a couple reasons. I don't plan on keeping the car factory for too long. And the carbon fiber one is like an additional $300 on top of the cost of this. So to me, it didn't seem practical to spend over $600 on a cold air intake that does not require a tune. Now, obviously you can tune these, and once you tune them, you can get more power out of them, obviously. But I went with just the standard tube here because that, you know, you're still looking at like over 300 bucks ish for the whole system. But I didn't seem practical to spend over 600 for something that does not require a tune, and for something that I'm not going to keep naturally aspirated for that long. All right, and then we got hardware and all that stuff. So I'm going to unbox all of that stuff and take it out. The tube, as I said, let's just move all this stuff over. Instructions, don't really need any of that. They also send you CORSA Performance stickers, which is guaranteed at least 5 horsepower. So keep that in mind. We might slap it on somewhere on the car to get that 5 additional horsepower. So with your intake filters, you have 2 options. You could go with a nice blue one like this one here, or they have a red one. I went mainly with the blue. They have oiled and non-oiled. I went with this, obviously, mainly because it's blue and it just is, you know, it matches the car. It'll just look better under the hood. All right, so we're gonna just go ahead and take this out first. You just gotta undo a few things, unplug this, obviously the MAF sensor, unplug the sound tube, unclip this, and then you have, I believe that's a 10 mil. We'll do that, and then after that's out, we'll show you. We gotta get in there with a 10 ratchet, I believe it is, and then pulls that out. And the CORSA kit also comes with a plug where you could plug up the hole for the sound tube. So I mentioned in a video I did a while back, the video where I put the Eibach Sportline springs on this, where I pulled out it's like a carbon air filter. I don't know if you can see, but it's a air filter that goes right here. I no longer have that anymore. I threw it out. On the 2022 and 2023 model years, they threw that in there along with a lot of other garbage cluster mess of plastic in here that is what resulted in the horsepower being reduced from the 460 to 450 horsepower. So I mentioned before that if you just pull out the carbon filter that goes right here, you can get that back. Well, you can get some of that horsepower back, but not all of it. Most of it comes from, you're not gonna be able to see, but there's just a ton of like plastic and in along here that is the cause of the reduction along with that carbon filter. So I took that out. You probably get some of that back, but by either A, you can replace your factory intake with a 2020, 2021 factory OEM intake, or you could go with something like I did and go with the CORSA intake that's non-tunable. It doesn't require a tune, so it just looks better, and it's not restrictive at all. So obviously there's nothing in here. It's just clear and see-through. Now, as I said, there is a carbon fiber version of this. It's more like sexy. It's better looking under the hood. But as I said, I'm not going to spend $600 for an intake that I don't have to tune. It can be tuned, but I'm not going to spend that kind of money on something that I'm not going to tune, and I'm not going to keep it naturally aspirated for that much longer. I made a decision on the route I'm going to go on here with the car. I'll announce that here shortly, so stay tuned for that, because I'll be talking about that here in an upcoming video. But we got the factory intake out. We're gonna go ahead and install the air box here and then get this installed. First things first, before we get the CORSA in here, we're gonna get this sound tube in here that nobody wanted. So to get back here, it's a 10 mil, and you're gonna need a ratchet. You can't really see it because it's so dark back there, but you can reach your hand back there. You just got to use a ratchet and then just plug it out or pop it out, and then CORSA provides you with the plug to stick in that hole. Okay, so for anyone that was wondering, if you ever do a sound tube delete on these cars, to get to that screw, that nut, to get this out, you don't really have a lot of room back there to play with. I had this 10 mil, just lightly, like the smallest of turns. That's all the space that you had. And as soon as you get it loose enough, you could take it out by hand. Now, but it's just a pain. That's the hardest part of this whole intake install, is this piece of shit. So but okay, so for anyone that is interested in buying these CORSA cold air intakes with the enclosed box, the plexiglass here, this is plastic. It doesn't bend, so this is a very tight fit to squeeze in here. You got to put that end down in first, and then kind of just squeeze it in as best you can. Make sure there's nothing in the way, and then just tighten down that bolt once it's in, and that helps hold it in place. But it is a very tight fit, just to let you guys know. It's really tight. All right, so we got everything buttoned up and installed. Hardest part of putting this all together was just trying to squeeze the actual air box in there, but we got it all in there. Got the plexiglass. The plexiglass is a nice touch now. I don't know if you can see it because of the lighting, but it does say CORSA Performance. You can kind of see it right there, CORSA Performance, which looks kind of nice. So the nice thing about it being enclosed, it'll keep the IET temps down. It'll just keep it running a lot cooler, opposed to just obviously that being just an open air cold air intake. So got everything back, got the map sensor and everything else snapped and plugged back in. I'm gonna close the hood. I'm gonna take this thing for a spin and just see if I can indeed, if it feels any different over stock, because it doesn't require a tune, but I know I'm guaranteed to at least get that 10 horsepower back that I lost from the good old EPA. So from what I've been told, people have gotten back a little bit more overstock, so who knows. I will add a tune to this, obviously, once I get a tune. That'll come next performance-wise. But in the meantime, yeah, we'll take this thing out for a spin and just see how it feels. And yeah, I'm thinking it'll be a little bit more peppy over the factory cluttered piece of shit. Alright, so we're gonna take this thing out on some back roads just to see how it responds over stock. So it does feel a little snappier, a better throttle response. Let's go this way. It doesn't have all those restrictions in it like the factory intake that they put in the 22, 23 Coyotes, with all the extra plastic and the honeycomb shit and the carbon air filter that they put in there that it took out a while back. It doesn't have all that restriction, so it's now a lot more free flowing. It doesn't have all that to slow it down. So that is all they did to reduce the power in the 22, 23s. It wasn't detuned or anything like that. It was simply your air intake. Throttle does feel definitely more responsive. I mean, it's not obviously like a gigantic jump because it's just an intake that's not just off of the factory tune, so it's not going to be like something crazy. But there is... Do I think it's worth the $300-something? Yeah. You get back that horsepower that you lost when purchasing a 2022, and then you probably might even get a little bit more, and then you get a tune. Obviously, you can get more, obviously, when you put a tune on also as well. You could also just replace it with a factory intake, but buying OEM from Ford, yeah, it's definitely not slower. You're probably going to spend around the same for a factory OEM intake from a Ford dealer, if not more, than purchasing the CORSA Performance that I have. Now, as I said, they do have one with the tube being carbon fiber. You could go that route, but I didn't want to spend over $600 on an air intake when it's not tunable and when I'm not going to have it for that long, because like I said before, I decided what route I'm going to go with when going boost. So I'm going to save that for another video. So if you haven't subscribed to my channel, make sure that you hit subscribe and the notification bell, because those videos are coming up soon. Definitely more responsive over stock. So if anyone has a 2023 Gen 3 Coyote and you're looking to get back that horsepower that you lost because of the EPA, you got to do more than just taking out that carbon air filter. I did that at first. You might get a little bit back with that, but you're guaranteed to at least get the 10 horsepower back, if not more, with this CORSA Performance air intake, because it is enclosed. It keeps the IET temps down, and it's got a cool plexiglass, and it just looks better under the hood. Now, it's not as cool and as sexy as a carbon fiber one, but as I said, I had reasons why I didn't want to go that route. But yeah, for the money, you spend about as much as you would if you decided to go replace it with the factory OEM intake. And this just looks better under the hood, and you're guaranteed to get at least more back with the CORSA intake compared to the factory OEM that comes in the 22, 23s. But on that note, I'm going to go ahead and conclude this one and wrap this one up. The CORSA Performance cold air intake, for the amount of money that you spend, you don't have to tune it. It's all 50 state emissions legal. It's an awesome upgrade over stock. You get a little extra horsepower over stock. I think it's a a good investment. So if you guys are watching and you're not subscribed, please do me a favor, hit subscribe, drop a comment, and a like. And as always, I will catch you guys in the next one. See ya.